I'm happy to welcome you back to our studio. And today we'll continue our talk with Yeshua ben Joseph. Good day, Jesus. I hope you've rested well after your recovery. And I'd like to start right away with a question. Tell me, please, in the case of your mother Mary, did an immaculate conception really take place?
Good day, Angela. We are grown-up people after all. Of course, that's not the case. My birth on this planet was not supposed to be any different from the birth of any other human being, except that the family I was to be born into was carefully selected for me based on hereditary traits, location, and religious opportunities. At birth, only my personality was involved, the personality of the creator of this local universe. Though with one peculiarity, my memory of the past was completely blocked. My experience of living in a human body, in the physical body of the lowest creature in my local universe, capable of knowing the Creator and striving toward Him. This was my seventh and final experience of living a life in the creatures I created at different levels of the hierarchy of my local universe. All these trials took place over the course of 1 billion of your planetary years.
Tell me, Jesus, what was the purpose of all these incarnations? After all, you were already the creator of your local universe. What new things did it give you?
The thing is, until the creator of a local universe undergoes 7 bestowals in the form of his creatures of various levels, he is not the full-fledged ruler of his local universe. My elder brother Emmanuel was sent to me as a high counselor, and any actions had to be coordinated with the ancients of days of our super-universe, Orvonton. Therefore, after successfully completing my 7 bestowals in the form of my creatures, I finally gained full power in my local universe and was granted the rank of sovereign. In terms of your language.
Well, we certainly congratulate you on such a high title, but let's return to the events on our planet. Was your entire life in the body of Yeshua ben Joseph really dedicated to atoning for humanity's sins before the Creator?
And who told you such nonsense? My Father loves all his creatures and does not need any sacrifices, and certainly not ritual offerings.
But that's what is said in your Christian teachings.
Let's start with the fact that Christian teaching is not my teaching. People began to preach it after my death. And Paul of Tarsus, who is the founder of this teaching, didn't even know me. And the rituals of this teaching were borrowed from Mithraism, a religious teaching that existed at that time in the Roman Empire. Well, and baptism was borrowed from John the Baptist, since some of my apostles were his disciples.
But all Christians wear crosses with your crucifixion and consider you their God.
That's exactly the problem. I called for faith in the Universal Father, the creator of the entire universe, and tried to do his will in everything. And his will was to show all people that they are all brothers and sisters in my Father's kingdom, and everyone should support and help each other regardless of their position in society. That a part of my Father lives in each of them, and the door to the spiritual world is always open to them. Angela, answer me this question. If someone you love was shot with a gun or stabbed with a knife, would you wear a chain around your neck with an image of a gun or a knife in memory of that person?
Well, of course not. That's just barbaric.
That's my point exactly. I'm not at all happy with the fact that in memory of me they wear the instrument of my execution, or even worse, me, crucified on this cross.
Why are we talking about sad things? It's just that people apparently want to show how they appreciate the fact that you gave your life to atone for the sins of all mankind.
But that's not the case. In that case, my death would justify the barbaric practice of sacrifice for the atonement of sins, which I was constantly trying to reason with people against. My death was meant to prove the fact that with faith in the Creator and worship of Him, you will be resurrected and continue your ascent into the spiritual kingdom to the Eternal Father.
Okay. Let's assume that Christianity is not your brainchild and your apostles failed in their task. Then what is your religious teaching?
It cannot be said that my apostles failed in their mission. You forget what kind of time it was. First, most people of that time were pagans, and faith in one God was held only by the Jewish people back then. But there was a big problem here too, as Yahweh was the God of only the Jewish people. All of my apostles were also, just like me, Jewish. Accordingly, it was difficult for them to accept the fact that the Creator is one for all people on the planet. Second, the Jews were under the oppression of the Roman Empire, and all their teachings came down to the fact that a savior must come, who would be the savior of the Jewish people and become a new King David. Even my mother, Mary, was sure that I was that savior, and could not understand my teaching that all people on the planet, including pagans and those of other faiths, are children of one Father, and they are all brothers and sisters in spirit. Now, you, Angela, do you believe in my eternal Father? And in general, what do you believe in?
Oh, well, that's kind of unexpected. Of course I believe in God, but even for me, it's hard to imagine that all people are brothers, because among them, there are such characters that you don't even want to think about it. So it turns out that even today, I don't think most people would support this teaching of yours.
You see, it's not all that simple, especially since on your planet there are many religions, and each one claims its own God. And it's impossible to create a new religion because religions are not created. Human religions develop over long periods of time, while divine revelations suddenly illuminate the earth in the lives of those people who reveal God to their fellows. So my task was precisely to reveal God, my Father, to my apostles and the ordinary people around me through the example of my life in a human body. I think we will return to the question of religions in future broadcasts.
Yes, of course. I think that's enough for today. There will be time to think of new questions for our next meeting. And with you was the same Angela Gale and the channel 10 of the Soul. Goodbye and see you next time.